Hello guys, it's Christina again. So today I have a guest, my good friend Jade,
Hi.
who I asked to join me for an interview so I can pick her brains on your behalf on the theme of mask, which I have absolutely no clue about. So Jade, can you just first tell my viewers who are you and why are you the good person to ask about masks?
Okay, so my name is Jade and my YouTube channel is under Jade Rock. Basically, I am a massage therapist and have been a massage therapist for 10 years, but my background originally started working in spas and doing beauty treatments essentially. So one day when I was in my spa, after only being there for a few months, my very first job as a massage therapist, my senior therapist, like the girl who was in charge of me, ran in to me while I was having lunch and said, "We have a facial this afternoon. We don't have a beauty therapist to do it. Will you do it?" And I was like, I've never done a facial before. I don't know what I'm doing. And essentially she taught me in the rest of my lunch break how to do it. And that was the beginning of me essentially doing beauty treatments. So from then on, with that particular company, I learnt how to do their organic facials, and my sort of facial like beauty career started with them using their own natural organic products in Australia. And there was a lot of education in that about the benefits of using natural products and the dangers of using sort of a lot of the harmful chemicals that we find in skin products these days. So it was wonderful for them to have like a professional range that was a little bit more like the scientific skincare. Dermalogica was the brand that they had, and their own in-house brand was Endota. The name of the company in Australia is Endota. It's a very well established spa sort of chain in Australia. So that basically really got me interested in beauty, and not only applying treatments to clients, but also how to apply treatments to clients using natural ingredients. They also used to do body treatments with things like yogurt and honey and just mineral sort of salts and that sort of thing. So that's kind of my background. And in Australia, I worked as a beauty therapist right up until I moved to the UK, so about 7 years. In the UK, I've been spending more time professionally doing massage rather than the facial side of things, but I've really carried on a lot of that sort of natural skincare into just my personal life and sharing that information with friends. So I guess that's where we come to here today talking about it. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
I mean, you're also aromatherapist.
that's it. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I didn't touch on that, but using aromatherapy as well is, very powerful for, beauty side of things. And I tend to use oils sometimes in my masks as well, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Excellent. So can we just start with why is it good to use a mask?
So basically, masks traditionally in beauty therapy are best used after you've exfoliated your skin. The reason that a mask is different to say something like a moisturizer is because it can help to just like flood your skin either with like nutrients, antioxidants to hydrate the skin, or we can use a mask to draw impurities out of the skin. So it's something that has a really strong impact that hopefully will stay with you for, say, a week or so. It can help with hydration, it can help with dehydration, dryness, oiliness, combination skin breakouts. There's just so many different things that a mask can be helpful for, but it does work differently than a cleanser or moisturizer in the fact that you're just getting a really intense burst of that kind of help, but again, it depends on what you're trying to address with a mask. So yeah, in short, I suppose that's what
I
we
know
should
that imagine it's different for different people and depending on their skin and stuff.
100%.
Generally speaking, how often do you have a mask?
So for me, because my goal with a mask, because of my skin type, is more hydration or calming, because I have very sensitive skin. So I could get away with using a mask every few days. But generally, they do say once a week is the way to use a mask. If you had very oily acne sort of skin, you'd probably using more of a clay-based mask, more of a drawing kind of intense mask. So you wouldn't want to do that more than once a week. So it depends on the person and what you're trying to address.
But generally speaking, once a week.
Yeah, once a week, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And how long do you actually leave it on?
It depends on, again, what you're using. If it's more the hydration side of things and quite like a calming ingredients, you can actually leave it on for like up to half an hour. If it's a more intense treatment like detox, or for oily skin like drawing out like clays, like we were talking about before, probably no more than say 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you. I feel so much wiser now. So what ingredients, kind of, because we're talking about using ingredients kind of you can find in your cupboard,
Yeah.
you know, the staple stuff.
Yeah.
So what, generally speaking, would you say it's good to have at home to have a bit of a range to be able to do hydration mask, as well as, like, let's say, you know, your partner has a oily skin and you have dry skin, and you want to have ingredients for both kind of masks. What should you have at home?
So we can look at this in a couple of ways. If you basically just want to use ingredients that you will generally have at home and not going out and buying specialty ingredients, then a lot of things that you have at home can be beneficial. I'll give you an example. A really popular mask that a mask that I use a lot for myself is a combination of Greek yogurt or natural yogurt, berries, so some kind of berry, and that's mainly for the antioxidants. Different berries have different properties, but generally they're very, very high in antioxidants. And the last one for me, again, this is talking just basically what really works for me, is oats. So very finely kind of ground oats, or oats soaked in the yogurt so they become very soft. Now that combination is really lovely for skin that is quite dry, dehydrated and sensitive, which I always struggle with. I'm a big coffee drinker, which I know is not the greatest thing, but I love it. So it does affect my skin. I do tend to get a lot of redness and rosacea through here. So essentially that will help to really calm my skin. The yogurt has lactic acid in it, which does provide a very gentle exfoliation to the skin, and does basically allow you to kind of just have a gentle sort of exfoliation without scrubbing your skin. But it's very calming and hydrating as well. The oatmeal is just one of the number one things I would suggest if you have sensitive skin. I mean, you could just basically have like purified water and like just oats, and literally put that on your skin if you like blend them together, and it's just such a wonderful, hydrating, gorgeous combination. If that's, again, for the hydration side of things, when we're talking about like oily skins, a really nice simple combination would be like a Manuka honey, or even you'd probably get away with just good raw honey if you don't want to spend, because Manuka's quite expensive. So raw honey and just a little bit of lemon, like literally just a little bit of lemon juice. So lemon is very astringent, and it's really purifying. You would know from aromatherapy yourself that it's just so it's clarifying to the mind, and in the same way in skincare it's clarifying to the skin, whereas in something like that you'd have to really kind of know what you're doing to use lemon essential oil. So just using a little bit of lemon juice, you get the citric acid from that, and that will act as a bit of an exfoliant for you. The honey is a humectant, so it binds moisture to the skin without actually flooding the skin of like oil. So that's a wonderful simple combination for oily skins. So they're basically things that you can find at home, you can use really easily. And I am going to start doing a lot of recipes on my channel about simple face masks at home, so people can refer to my channel if they want to check those out. If you want to get more into creating a little bit more advanced face masks, then you can start working on adding different kinds of skin oils like rosehip oil to your mask. You can also buy a clay that suits your skin type. There are different clays that you can use depending on your skin type, and we don't need to go too much into that, but it is an option. And there's also floral waters, which are much nicer to use than, say, like tap water in your mask, which actually have properties like essential oils, but they're not as strong, so you're not going to get as strong a reaction in the skin. So, you know, there's so many different things that you can get into, but the first things I talked about are, if you just want to use stuff that you've got at home, that's a good place to start.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's been very informative. That's cool. And actually I do use floral waters as well for like a cleanser. I mean, I don't wear makeup, but every so often it's quite nice just to wash your face with like rose water that smells just slightly of roses, and it's very light and it's really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think using Flora Waters actually as a toner. I know we're talking about masks today, but actually just spritzing it on your face. If you put like an oil or a moisturizer on your face, then a lot of moisturizers are sort of oil based, which doesn't necessarily affect, so this is getting a bit complicated, but it doesn't, hydration and moisture are slightly different things. Hydration is the water levels in the skin, and moisture is like the oil levels in the skin. So moisturizers sometimes don't necessarily help with hydration because they're just like putting more oil in the skin when what your skin actually wants is water. If you use a hydrolat and spritz the skin, you're actually then locking in that hydration to the skin. So I mean, I'm a big fan of Flora Waters. I know that's not what we're talking about so much today, but that's another use for those sorts of things as well.
Brilliant. Excellent. Are there any groups of people, anyone who should not be using masks or should be wary of using them?
I would say the amount of people who absolutely can't use them would be very minimal. I mean, we're talking people who have extremely sensitive skin, extremely reactive skin that would react to typical things like, you know, chamomile and lavender, or, you know, things that are, or even oatmeal might affect them. I mean, it's not a very high percentage of people. But I would definitely be, if you do have a tendency towards sensitivity, then maybe try a little bit on this part of your arm and do a little patch test on yourself. See if you have any kind of reaction. Or if you do have a real serious problem, maybe check with your dermatologist or naturopath or someone like that to see if it's safe to try. But I think generally, most people will find, even if it's just simply, I'm a big fan of honey as a mask. If you can't really put anything else on your skin, generally you can do a mask of honey. Wash your face of any makeup or anything and just put honey on for 10 minutes, and that it's not sort of oily, it won't clog the pores, it's very antiseptic, antibacterial, hydrating. It just kind of hits all the marks essentially. So most people will be able to, but if you're concerned, then always double check before using something on your skin that you feel might have any kind of interfere with your skin. Yeah.
Do you do any like private consultation with people and stuff that they can pay for session when you explain how these things work?
Not necessarily, because I mean, this is information that I would just like, I mean, the whole point of it for me is the fact that you're doing things for yourself.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like maybe one day I'll create like an ebook with some recipes or something like that, and people can like buy that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would get to a point where I would charge for like one-on-one situation. I mean, I just think it's enough common knowledge and enough information out there, and the whole point of it is to educate people to do this on their own so they can save money in the long term. So, you know, I'm happy doing massage and other things for my income at the moment. And as I said, if I create some sort of ebook, at least that's giving people a large amount of information for a little investment at the beginning, and that's probably how I might approach it one day. Yeah, but at this stage it's more just getting the information out there. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. Literally that kind of leads to the next question, which is, why is it better to make your mask than to buy them?
Okay, so I think the first thing is, you know, we're in an age now where people are becoming, I don't know if you feel it, but I feel it, people are becoming much more aware about diet, what they put into their bodies, you know, the effects of like pollution and chemicals and that sort of thing. And I think it comes down to ingredients. You know, even the most natural products these days, they're either very well formulated and amazing, but then very expensive, or even if they're natural, they do have some sort of preservative that can interfere with people's skin. For me personally, a lot of natural products have jojoba in it, and although jojoba is wonderful for many things, I have an allergy to a mild allergy, and a certain percentage of people do. And so there's different extracts and different things, and I've experimented with I'm a product junkie 100%, so I've experimented with so many natural products, and what I've found is products that I've made myself have just been more effective because I've been able to experiment down to the point that I've found the combinations that work really well for me. So basically, like, yeah, I would say the ingredients side of things, making sure that you know exactly what's going into the product. And yeah, the cost, I mean, skin products these days are just, I mean, if you want a high quality product, you generally just have to pay so much for it. And if you can try and make something at home that has a similar impact on the skin, or that is, you know, easy to make you know exactly how long you've had it. You can control when you put it on your, like, what goes into it.
Yeah.
I think that's so valuable in itself. So I guess that's why. And it's also creative in a way. I mean, if you're interested in living a creative life and experimenting, it's all goes in hand with that as well. Like just playing around with things until you get the combination that works for you. And you know, I just think I always have such a good time with it, just like blending my little products. I feel like a little chemist, you know, like, you know, but just be really careful. But apart from that, if you do a bit of research, you can find some really good information on these individual products and how they can help you.
I think it makes lots of sense. I mean, that I make my own, you know, body creams as well. And you're very right about what I like about that is that I have absolute control over the ingredients. I know exactly what's in it because I put it in there, and I can control the quality of the products that I put in there.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I mix some coconut oil with aloe vera, I know where I got them from and what quality they are. And, you know, you can make just the amount to last you, so there's no need for preservatives.
Exactly.
You can make small amounts, which then cost wastage as well.
Yeah.
So you're right, like that really makes lots of sense.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, I think, you know, I've always just had such an affinity. It's just like the smell of natural products as well, and the smell, and like I don't know if I'm weirdly sensitive, but I've never been a fan of like perfumes and added sort of scents to things. Like I've never been into like the body moisturizers that have a really like artificial smell to them. I just love the natural smell of things, and it just, you know, even things like yogurt and berries and oats, and I like that natural kind of smell, you know. It's just
edible.
Yeah, exactly. And I've gotten to the point now where like I used to have a cleanser that, again, talking about masks, but just let me sidetrack for a second. I used to have a cleanser that I used that was about £40 every time I topped up for 250 mils.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that that's not a good cleanser. For my skin type, it was an amazing cleanser, and I still have a place in my heart, and there might be times where I still might go and buy it, but now I'm cleansing my skin with honey, and I just, you know, I remove my makeup with again, it's not a natural product, it's an oil cleanser, but it's got some laboratory stuff in it. So I'm not even at the stage now where all of my products are completely natural and homemade. It's just I'm putting into my routine as I go what I can, because I feel better when I do it, but there are some products I just can't. I've struggled to let go of, so I'm not perfect. It's just, this is where I'm at in my journey at the moment. But yeah, cleansing with honey has just been such a game changer for me, because it's like I get a little thing of raw honey, a little squeezy thing, which is like £5, you know, as opposed to 40 quid. It's about the same volume of product, and you know, I mean, the impact on my skin is very similar to the very expensive cleanser I was using. So it's like, it's a no-brainer, and it's one ingredient as opposed to the big list of ingredients on the back of my other cleanser. So it just makes me feel kind of better about.
And you can lick it off.
You can lick it off if it's like, it's like exactly. So I don't know. I just love it. I think it's really fun. That's about it.
Sounds amazing. Actually, I had used masks in the past.
Yeah.
When I was younger, but I bought them. I never made one. I used to buy them in Lush and stuff, which is supposed to be a bit more natural. As you said, quite expensive, and I always felt that actually irritated my skin more than anything else.
100%.
And obviously, I don't know what was in there.
Yeah.
And actually, now I feel like, I just made the honey. I mean, it's so simple. I have honey. I can just take a spoon and, you know, smash it all over my face. So I'm definitely, you inspired me. I think I'll definitely try something. Because my skin's generally speaking good, but sometimes, like now, when I'm on sugar, my skin is a little bit haywire.
That's hormonal. Yeah.
So, you know, a little bit of calming and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just sounds so tasty.
Yes,
like,
it's really
yogurt and berries, honey. I mean, where can you go wrong?
It's fantastic, and the
breakfast and a mask at the same time.
100%. Like, so
one
good.
for me, one for my face.
That's
one
it.
for me.
That's it. But I think, like, I mean, you touched on something there that I'm drawing a blank on, but I really wanted to comment on. That's what I wanted to say. So you were saying that you had gone through a few masks, but they've sort of, they didn't do any good for your skin. Yeah. So this is another thing that comes back to why would people prefer to use natural masks? Like, if you've been in this industry before, like if you've worked in beauty or even if you're just a bit of a product junkie. I said I was a product junkie. I really am. And what that means is lots of pounds spent on trying different masks. And sometimes you buy them and they either work for a couple of times and then they don't work for you anymore, or they don't work at all and you've lost your receipt. And basically a fortune is spent on all these different products and experimenting, because I really believe, especially dealing with as a sort of beauty therapist in Australia, dealing with different clients, it's you can try and guess as best as you can as a beauty therapist as to what the person's skin will be, and really excellent beauty therapists will be pretty on point, but it is very challenging because you're only going on what the client tells you and how their skin reacts in a facial. And you know, people might think, oh, my skin's fine, and they're super sensitive. But you might go through so many different skincare products and spend all this money before you find a routine that works well for you. What if you could do all that experimentation with just products at home and find something that worked for you without spending all that money and all that time on facials and consultations and like all that kind of thing?
And then the wastage follows because you have bottles of stuff that you can't use anymore.
Yeah.
Well, if you make a little bit of yogurt, you can always eat it if you can't use it, you know? Like
I want to eat it now.
yeah, no, me too.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I wanted to touch on, like the fact that, you know, if you could sort of get away with doing that experimentation and be like, oh, that didn't really work, like I'll just chuck that out because it's only like a couple of spoonfuls. Like it's just a lot less wastage and a lot better for you, and you know, so
Makes lots of sense.
try. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing. And as Jade said, she will be creating specific recipes and stuff on her YouTube channel. So that leads us to my last question: is where can people find you and, you know, learn more about what you're gonna be doing next?
Okay, so I have a YouTube channel called Jade Rock, where basically it's a very sort of general blog. I tell you a little bit about my life, tell you stories about my life. I consider myself to be the hopeless human, which I think you enjoyed that maybe. And so it's basically trying to live as holistically and happy and great as possible. So you can find me, if you just look up Jade Rock channels on YouTube, you'll find me there. And I think Christina might put a link below here so you can click on my channel if you want to check out some more recipes and, you know, my crazy little life. And yeah, that's it.
Well, that's it from me too. Until the next time, I will be interviewing some more interesting people. But thank you, Jade, for being the first.
Thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
I've had a really good time, so
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I loved it. It was beautiful.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
What happened to the listening skills?
What happened to my listening skills?
Yeah, we done just interview before that on listening skills, hence it doesn't
Which I'm failing dismally at right now.